Hello YouTube. Social media being what it is, one of the most important factors of content creation is to attract people's attention, which is exactly what I did with this title. And it's especially true with fitness. Content usually that is spectacular or that is fresh tends to go viral. If you say something that people have heard a million times, you're never going to get the same type of response, which tends to encourage fitness influencers to constantly try to reinvent the wheel because they're trying to come at you with a different angle, which most oftentimes results in them just pulling stuff right out of their ass and creating something that is inherently inferior to what used to exist. But because it is new, it is all they care about. And that is not the only factor that tends to lead to silly content or trends on the internet. Another one, at least in fitness, is the fact that since this is a male-dominated sphere and space, you inevitably end up with dudes who are trying to compete with one another and who are trying to out-alpha one another. And so this results in a bunch of dudes who have fragile egos and low self-confidence who are trying to compensate for their micro penises by trying to act super hardcore, trying to, in a sense, embrace a personality that is going to make up for their lack of masculinity. And this usually means that they engage in behaviors that are either downright psychotic or that make no logical sense. But for some reason and somehow, these still manage to survive, and not just survive, they thrive and they spread, because other men who also want to appear alpha are going to recreate the exact same behavior. They're going to copy and mimic the behavior. And this also means that you will be meeting people in gyms that are going to be doing these things that they saw on social media. And it is these behaviors, these trends that I want to discuss today. So I've prepared a list of 10 things that just make me want to go, you're not hardcore, you're just an idiot, when I see another guy doing them, and I'm going to share them with you. Let's see if you can relate. Let's see if there are items on the list that you personally do. So let's start with trend and with behavior number one, which is people who train injured. I start with this one because this is an alpha, this is a hardcore behavior that I used to engage in, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. You will meet guys who will take pride, they will derive pride from going to the gym with pain, with issues, with stuff that they should stay at home and deal with, but instead of that, they're going to re-aggravate them times and times again. To them, that makes them super masculine, it makes them super alpha. In reality, it just means that you are completely stupid, because you're never going to progress on an injury, you're simply going to get stuck in a loop of just permanent problems and pain that leads absolutely nowhere. And I know that this weird status symbol is something that is prevalent in pretty much every single sphere. I've seen that with athletes, I've seen that with powerlifters, I've seen that with bodybuilders. I used to have a powerlifter buddy back in the days who tore his hip labrum doing squats because the guy had pain for months and months and months, but he refused to stop training squats. So he would pop painkillers before going to the gym, and eventually his hip just tore. It gave way because, of course, the pain was a symptom, it was a sign that something was going wrong. Same with bodybuilders who like tear a bicep, but they still want to train. I can't miss the gym. I remember back in the days, Robert Frank fucked up both of his shoulders and he needed to get surgery on them or else he was going to lose mobility, but he refused because he didn't want to miss days. That is so idiotic and also very short-sighted because your life extends past the gym. I don't know if you guys knew that, but you're going to live past your 30s and you're going to have to exist with all of the injuries that you occurred and you accumulated. These never go away. Unfortunately, they get worse as you age. And of course, if you approach them and tackle them systematically with proper exercise selection, exercise and training on them is actually the best way to rehab, but not like a complete idiot, not by actually ignoring the injury. So that's number one. Number two are people who wake up super early and this becomes their new personality. And it also creates this weird escalade of stupidity because, as I told you, these things spread on social media. So we'll have one guy who will say, well, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I go for a run, bro. Other guy will say, well, I wake up at 4:30 and I go for 2 runs. And this guy will say, I wake up at 3:30 and I drink battery acid and then I go for a walk. on my hands. Can you beat that? Up all the way to the point where I know influencers who wake up at 3 a.m. What even is the point of waking up at 3 a.m.? No one is out there. The only thing you're doing is you're now doing a graveyard shift, even though you're not even working or in active life. That is so weird, especially when you take into account that there's literally no difference. Let's say you wake up at 3 a.m. for some reason. You still go to bed at 5 p.m. You still get your sleep. So what is the difference between you and someone who goes to bed at midnight and wakes up at 8? None. The only thing that separates you from them is that they have a brain, because they're going to follow a schedule that works for them. I used to go to bed at 3, 4 a.m. when I was doing my grad degree, because during my master's, I taught classes from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. I also took classes, and then I had to go to the office to like grade papers and to also like be able to do my homework because it was a master's. And so by the end of the day, when all of that was done, it was 3, 4 a.m. So I was stuck in that cycle. And guess what? I got tremendous gains. I made tremendous gains during that time period. And I know that some people try to justify this weird hyper-rigid discipline by saying that you have to go to bed at a certain time for GH production to be maximal, and apparently that there is some truth in this, but come the fuck on. The difference is minimal. It's not going to impact much. So if you're the type of person who goes to bed late and wakes up late, there's nothing wrong with that. It might just be best aligned with who you are. Some people just are more productive during the night. I'm exactly like that. It is idiotic that the trend is now you have to wake up early. How about no? How about I still wake up late and I mug your ass? That was number 2. Let's look at number 3. People who think that recovery rhymes with discomfort. Now, again, same alpha male trend pushed by the same balance who are going to promote stuff like, cold plunges, or doing runs in the rain, or all of these torture devices that are supposed to help with recovery. You know what helps with recovery? Recovering. Eating food, sleeping, taking a nap. Taking a nap is not lazy. Nothing is more anabolic than a nap. If you have a day off and you start to feel drowsy, go to fucking bed. It's your body telling you, hey, I can use that sleep to recuperate. That is optimal for recovery. You know what isn't? Forcing yourself to go to a trek that you don't want to do, or doing a cold plunge. Look, I used to take cold showers, and I still do to this day. For 5 years straight, every shower I ever took was a cold shower. Did it help? Yeah, I think it has tremendous benefits. Some people try to demonize the practice by saying it's going to kill protein synthesis. If it does, imagine how big I would be if I had never taken a cold shower. I got gains just right. Don't worry about these people who try to fearmonger the practice. But at the same time, be wary of the alpha male influencers who are trying to sell the practice as this thing that is going to revolutionize your life. It just won't. And it might not even be that good for recovery. So you have to sort of wait it out. But at the end of the day, train hard and then rest in between these periods. If you end up being the type of person who always tries to use active recovery, whatever that fucking means, you're just going to be in a constant state of fatigue and you're never going to recover. You're not hardcore, you're just stupid. Number 4 on my list of people who think they're hardcore but are just complete morons. People who puke when they train legs. This one is a pet peeve of mine. I cannot fucking stand it. For some reason, there is this myth in the bodybuilding community that if you puke when you train legs, this means that this is a good training, you're really going hard and you're going to grow. Actually, nothing could be further from the truth. If you've ever puked during training, legs or not legs, it means one thing and one thing only. Your work capacity is low, and so your metabolism is not able to take the amount of effort, and so you regurgitate the food. When a human being pukes when he's not sick, it's a response by the body. It's your body trying to, in a sense, liberate space because it thinks you're in a life or death situation. And that's not a good sign because it means that you simply do not have the amount of endurance needed to do whatever you're trying to do. So if you puke just doing a set of 10 on squats, that is a sign that you need to up your conditioning. But if you end up doing like a squat circuit, 30 reps, and then you puke, now it's just the training that's bad. And this is what always fascinates me with these people. Usually when you look at the parameters of their training, you realize that their training actually fucking sucks. Because doing something like metabolic fatigue on sets of 30 for squats with a weight that is not even challenging but gets you to puke means that 1, you're not keeping down the calories that would allow you to grow, so what the fuck? And so you're taxing your body. And 2, the muscles that you think you're going to grow are not even being targeted that much because your lungs and your heart and your stomach become the limiting factor. If you want to puke after doing an effort, why don't you just go run marathon? Don't ruin lifting by trying to implement something as stupid. And what is incredible with these guys is that they think it makes them cool. For me, if you are puking in public, you're one of two things. Someone who is a drunk or someone who is completely an inconsiderate asshole, because puke smells like fucking garbage. If I'm 100% serious, if someone puked at my gym, I would go confront them and be like, are you sick? Do you need me to call an ambulance? If not, what the fuck are you doing? I've seen videos of bodybuilders puking in the gym garbage. Do you realize that someone has to empty that, you selfish asshole? It's so fucking, it revolts me to my core. Maybe it's just me. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. I just don't get it. And the funny thing is that there is a French influencer, and I'm certain some of you guys might know him on the channel. His name is Michael Gundil. And the guy took that even further, where he claimed that if you've never shat yourself while training legs, then you've never trained hard. Now, I hope he was just joking, but let's say he wasn't. Why would you inflict that onto others? Please, keep your bodily fluids to yourself, okay? You keep them to yourself, then you go home and you dispose of them. And this one is perfectly gratuitous, but the reason why I wanted to include this in this video is because I was just scrolling on Instagram, minding my own fucking business, and then I was exposed to a video of a bodybuilder puking his guts out, and the guy was actually Mike Israel, and I was like, what the? I didn't want this. This is beyond disgusting. I follow these people for fitness content, not to see you engage in weird like fetish-like behavior. I immediately blocked him, of course, and I tried to report him. It didn't work. Apparently, that type of content is acceptable. It's not, according to me. If you puke in the gym, you don't know how to train, and you also are an asshole. Number 5 on my list, and it sort of correlates, people who train legs. So this one might be surprising. People who train legs. Aren't you supposed to be a person who trains legs? Yes, I also do train legs because I want massive legs. But here's my issue with the leg lifting community. They think they're better than everyone else. They think they're better than calisthenic bros. They think they're better than people who don't want to train legs, or even who don't train legs. Seriously, if you do one leg day once in a while, you're not good enough for these people, because apparently doing heavy squats and deadlifts sort of is like a mark of honor. It's a medal of honor. This is like on the list of things that make you badass. There is serving in Vietnam here, and then there is doing heavy squats. In these people's heads, that's how it works. And I personally fucking disagree. You training legs heavy is a preference, and if you like it, that's good for you. But if someone just wants an upper body, and let's be real, it's an upper body business, then that's perfectly fine. You know, they're saving time, they're doing something that they want. If they want to then go out there and use their fresh legs to play sports, for example, I don't see an issue with that. And actually, they could also flip the script on you and say, well, yeah, maybe you train legs heavy, but you're not athletic at all. And these people can be athletic and they can be much more functional than you. So this is another thing that I would want to see die. I know it will eventually, because usually the type of people who say that tend to be powerlifters. And these people, you know, give or take 50, 60 years, they have their aneurysm and then they just leave the gene pool. So you just have to be patient. But I want to make clear that just because you train legs doesn't mean that you are fighting in a war. If you want to do something very impressive, go fight in a cage. Doing squats doesn't make you badass. Number 6, people who are proud of tearing calluses. This one I also see a lot, but this one is interesting because the type of people who talk about it, they don't really brag about it, but they talk about it as a fatality. Like, it's something that must happen. If you're a lifter, you're going to have calluses and they're going to tear, and this is the cycle of life. That is nonsense. I haven't torn a callus in maybe 4 years, but I used to be the guy who tore calluses every single month, and it was always a bitch because it prevented me from training hard. Because once you tear a callus, you can't grip the bar as hard as you want. It's just uncomfortable, etc., etc. But the good thing is that it's absolutely not mandatory. It is extremely easy to make sure you never tear a callus again, and I'm going to share the method with you right now. You're going to do 2 things. First, you're going to shave your calluses. And to shave your calluses, it's extremely easy. You're going to take a nail clipper and you're going to press on the callus and you're going to remove the excess skin. And you think, well, isn't the entire point of the callus to protect my hand? Yes, don't worry about it. They're going to grow and they're going to grow back fast. But by shaving the excess skin, you don't give the barbell a place where it can leverage against your skin, because that's how calluses tear. The barbell is going to rip it from the base. So if you remove that base, you are going to be perfectly safe and perfectly fine. That is number one. You can do that every 2 months. You don't have to do it often. And two, and this is going to also help you outside of lifting, have next to your bed a bar of lotion. I insist on bar. My favorite brand is Climb On Lotion. It is freely available. I'm not being sponsored. I'm just saying it's the best I've ever found. Every single night before you go to bed, you apply that bar of lotion on your hands and you really dig deep into the calluses. Your hands are going to be completely greasy and you'll think, well, great, thank you very much. I can now jerk off very effectively, but how am I supposed to touch things in my house? You don't have to. This is why you do it before going to bed. That way you fall asleep. And when you wake up, your hands will be dry because your hands are going to completely suck up that moisture. If you're a lifter, it is absolutely essential because you keep putting chalk on your hands, you dry them out, it dries out the calluses, they're easier to tear, and you end up in a cycle where you tear them every other week, and you're like an idiot thinking, well, I can't train now. Yes, it's because you're not taking care of your hands. Also, if you want to be able to not have the hands of a pirate by the time you're 30, and maybe have soft hands for your wife or loved ones if you have kids one day, that is also something that you must keep in mind. So that was number 6. Number 7, and this one is also weird, people who lift heavy. Yes, I have a bone to pick with you guys who lift heavy for a simple reason. Everyone is supposed to lift heavy. It's a prerequisite of bodybuilding, strength sports, everything. Because if you want to progress, you have to put the body under a certain amount of stress so that it is forced to grow. I lift heavy as well. It's just normal. It doesn't make you special at all. The issue I have with this type of people, again, is because they take that notion that is simple as fuck and shouldn't be overcomplicated, and they run with it. And now they turn it into an ego-based practice where they no longer lift heavy because they want to progress. They want to lift heavy because they think it makes them better than others. And when you start thinking like this, your progress as a bodybuilder dies, because before you know it, you're going to start to engage in practices that allow you to lift more weight but give you less results. And you could tell me, well, how is this possible? Very simple. A lifter's brain is like a monkey. It's extremely simplistic. The functionment is extremely simplistic. Lifter sees heavy weight, thinks, me cannot lift that weight with proper form, so me gonna do exact same lift with bullshit form. That way me lift weight, me pee big, ego good. And this is when you end up seeing people who claim to lift for aesthetics and size, who do random bullshit with terrible garbage form to get the best leverage possible. But here's the thing, and this one I know is going to shock some of you guys. Optimal strength form for performance is like the exact opposite of the spectrum as optimal bodybuilding form. Most often, with proper bodybuilding form that gives you the most amount of stimulus for the muscle, you're going to be able to use less weight. Why? Because your leverage tends to be worse, because your tempo tends to be worse. So, before thinking, I want to lift all of the weights in the gym, think instead, how can I do the same exact lift with as little weight as possible to challenge myself as much as possible? Once you start thinking like this, you can lift heavy and actually get the results that come with it. If you lift heavy at the detriment of range of motion, of tempo, of technique, you're just wasting your time. Which leads to the people on my list that are just afterwards, the number 8, people who don't lift heavy, and these are, in a sense, the exact same idiots, because they're motivated by the exact same impetus, which is ego. There are people out there who don't lift heavy, but they tell themselves, well, it's okay, I'm still badass, I'm still an alpha because I do X or Y instead. These are the people, for example, who do squats with 2 plates, but they go full range of motion, bro, ass to grass, bro. So actually, that 2-plate squat is equal to a 4-plate squat. Well, it's fucking not. It simply isn't. Lifting baby weight with pristine form impresses absolutely no one. You're never going to progress. And the issue is that these people are going to find that out extremely quickly because they're going to be outdone by cheating bros. Because at least these cheating bros try to push themselves at least a little bit. All of these new bogus, super extra duper range of motion tempo shit I see people do, the only times I've seen it work on natural lifters, it's when it was with natural bodybuilders who built a physique with other methods before, then they move on to this thing and they maintain. And granted, it's good for them because the injury risk is extremely low, but for people trying to gain, I don't think that's going to work very much. So right now, I'm going to ask you to do the exact opposite of what I said previously. You're going to ego lift a bit more. You're going to try and challenge yourself a bit more. Try to see if you can get that extra 14, 15 rep with that extra weight and see if it doesn't do something tremendous for you. But that, of course, is only if your goal in the gym is performance and it is to actually improve. Some people don't really care. They're in it for gym culture. So if they have enough for their Instagram and to look cool and to feel better than other people, that's all they really care about. Number 9, and this one is a direct attack against all of you guys who are doing your summer cuts, people who stay shredded year-round. All right, what is the issue with these people? The issue with these people is that they have turned being shredded and cutting and losing weight into a mortification of sorts. They've turned it into a religious practice. To them, it's the sign of their crazy discipline. It is the sign that they're dedicated to their craft. But here's the issue. They've also been looking the exact same for the past 5 years. Why? Because when you deplete your body chronically, guess what? You cannot grow. And that is an issue somehow, because isn't this game about gaining muscle and making gains? So why are you putting yourself in a catabolic state year fucking round? That makes no sense. Well, I'll tell you why these people do it. They do it for social media. Because in truth, people who are very shredded and super lean look good in one sphere and one sphere only, and that is in pictures. Because in real life, no one can even see them. They're too thin. And I must make clear here that I'm not talking about people who compete in bodybuilding, okay? I'm talking about people who don't compete. So why are you trying to reach these like super low levels of leanness? Well, I think it's because they get influenced by social media and by people who have what I call fitness influencer syndrome. Fitness influencer syndrome is people who are on this platform, who got big with fitness advice, and who have realized that they don't really need to get bigger. The only thing they need to do is they just need to look bigger, to appear bigger. And the best way to do this is not to actually gain muscle. It's to be lean. It's to play with the lighting and the camera and the pump, etc. And this is what they do now. They no longer really care about progressing in the gym. What they want is they want to maintain their business image. And their business image is the lean guy. So that's what they'll do for now. And I'm not going to cite names because I don't need to, but I'm certain that some names are coming into your mind right now of dudes who have looked the exact fucking same for the past 5 years. Is it because they met a limit? No, they've decided they don't want to grow anymore. And so they stay at the same body weight, at the same body fat, and they never go anywhere. They can still give good advice, but in terms of life advice, in terms of things that you should not be doing, they are also the perfect representation of what must be avoided. This obsession with being shredded is the best way to stay small. The dudes that you look at on Instagram, on YouTube, that you think, oh, the guy is a shredded god, you wouldn't even look at him twice in the gym, because in the gym, these guys are simply not impressive. So another type of people who think that they're hardcore, but in reality are just idiots. And then we have number 10, and number 10 is just something I wanted to add at the end of the list because it's a pet peeve of mine, but it's not that serious. It's people who do dips with chains. You've seen these schmucks. It's the guy who is going to put chains around his neck and do shitty, fast, spazzy dips. Maybe he'll do 5 or 10 and then he'll just prance around the gym with the chains around his neck. To be clear, these chains weighed 5 pounds. So that guy just did a set of 10-pound dips. Wow, I'm incredibly impressed. Can I have your autograph, please? It is something that is still, to this day, cool, and it's always pro bodybuilders who do it. Here's the thing. If you want to make your dips more difficult, how about doing them properly first, and then you can weight them with plates and a belt? What is this fucking chain thing? We have these chains in my gym, and we pretty much only use them to like stick doors together and stuff like that. No one uses them because I'm thankfully going to a gym where there are not many idiots. And that is that. That concludes my list. So a salty video, to be absolutely clear, but things I wanted to share because I'm thinking to myself, maybe some of you guys are doing stuff like this because you've copied it off of your favorite lifter on someone on Instagram, and you don't realize that actually you're just wasting your time and potentially even wasting gains. So I'm not saying that you're an idiot, but I'm saying that you are wearing the costume of one. So maybe it's time to actually shed the costume and wear normal clothes. But if you feel attacked by one or more item on the list because it's something that you do, please feel free to leave a comment letting me know that I will never be as alpha as you are. I'm actually small. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm French, which the last one is correct, unfortunately. And on the flip side, if you learned that you are doing something stupid and you appreciate the advice, you can consider supporting the channel on Ko-fi. It's the first link in the description. The more people pledge, the more free time I have, and the more energy I can use towards making more videos for you guys. And talking about videos, I plan on posting a lot more frequently during the month of June. So there'll be 2 new lifter profiles, 1 new bodybuilding program that will drop very soon, and also a few new series I'm going to introduce, along with, of course, more philosophical content. I hope you're looking forward to it. I know that I am, and I'm going to see you again very soon. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.